Hey everybody, my hair didn't turn out too well. Sorry. Welcome to the Dear Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books. Please hit the like and subscribe. Apparently, as many as I was trying for Christmas Miracle, as I mentioned earlier, and unfortunately, I didn't even come close. I was hoping for 1,000 subscribers. I didn't even break two. Hell, I didn't even break 150 at Christmas time. And I had a whole bunch of people subscribe, and then a whole bunch of people unsubscribe. So this is where we read books, we talk about books. There's no special effects, there's no theme music, there's nothing going on here. I'm a series person, as you know. Please check out my tour of my bookcase. But I'm a series person. That's why we do Star Trek Next Generation. I'm a series person. I like while something might be resolved each and every book, we still have character progression. The characters grow over the season. And while we finished my Janet Ivanovich in December, and by the time this video airs, all of those videos will have aired. We are doing we're getting ready for Ransom and Death the end of the month. We are doing Secrets in Death. And as I said previously, I'm an audio person. When I transcribe or do stuff around the house, I listen to my audiobooks. Susan Erickson is just awesome. And Laura King for Janet is just awesome. But I do both. And I'm not sure. I think it was with the last book. But this book also has... Oh, by the way, when I got this down, I have my original Barnes & Noble receipt in here. I was a member at that juncture. I am no longer a Barnes member because... Have you tried ordering stuff in Barnes? It could take a month, 2 months to get there, even if you pre-order something. Whereas Amazon, it comes the next day. So, besides, there's a book I want, and Barnes has it for 15, Amazon has it for 12, and Amazon will get it to me the next day. So who do you think I'm going with? And why do you think I canceled my Barnes membership? But, see, it was $27.99. It was on sale for 20% off. And I got an extra 10% with my membership. So I ended up paying $21.36. Barnes & Noble. I don't know why the receipt's still in here. I guess it makes a good bookmarker. I could have a bookmarker for every one of these books in this house, and I still wouldn't be able to find them when I needed them. But I also wanted to show you that cryptic clues are usually divided into two parts, a straight definition and a bit of wordplay, both leading to the same answer. Good luck. And we have a crossword puzzle inside the cover of the book. And because I enjoy these books so much, you will not get through this without me reading most of the book, because I just enjoy it so much. I love these books. I just love them. So we're starting the book off with, and I'll just give you the first couple sentences and then I'll explain it. It wouldn't kill her. Probably wouldn't kill her. Eyes knit together beneath a snowflake cap, Lieutenant Eve Dallas strode through the flood of people on the crowded sidewalk with thoughts nearly as bitter as February wind. She'd rather be back in her vehicle and driving home through the jam of other vehicles. Down to it, she'd rather engage in mortal combat in some downtown alley with a Zeused-up chemi head than head for some fussy fern bar. But a deal was a deal, and she'd run out of excuses. Reasons she self-corrected. She had solid reasons to put this off, like murder. A murder cop dealt with murder and all it entailed, not fancy drinks and small talk. Now, uh, Eve is a lieutenant in the New York City Police and Security Department. Peabody is her partner, who she has mentored since like book 3-4. And Peabody has progressed up to detective. She started off as a street cop. We see a little bit of Baxter and Trueheart. We catch up with a little bit of Santiago and Carmichael. We see a little bit of Mavis in here. Mavis is her best friend. She's also a rock star. Leonardo's husband is a fashion designer. We also see some of McNabb. He's works a detective in the electronics division of the NYPSD. He is also Peabody's cohab and significant other. We see some of Feeney. He is the captain of EDD, and he was Eve's mentor way back when. And of course, we see Rourke and some Somerset and some Galahad. But a couple of books ago, Concealed in Death, Eve had to work with Dewinters. She is a bone person. She deals with bones, dating bones, like Temperance Booth from Bones. Kathy Reichs, she does bones. And Eve really didn't like her from the start because she was too friendly with Morris. Morris had just lost Amaryllis, his girlfriend at the time. Morris is the medical examiner. We see him in this book. And because DeWinter kidnapped a dog. And she kidnapped it. Once Eve learned the circumstances, Eve felt better. But Eve has got it in her brain that everything has to be by the book. Even though DeWinter saved the dog's life and adopted said dog because the owner was abusing the life out of it and the dog was starving to death. And she stole the dog and took it to the vet and got it treated. And while the owner eventually got fined or whatever, it's still on the record that DeWinter stole the dog. And even though DeWinter did the right thing, Eve has still got this thing in her brain about DeWinters. And of course, as you know, I'm not going to go too heavily into it because it really doesn't pertain too much to this book. But Eve grew up in the foster system. And she was never, ever had parties, given presents, been social, none of that stuff. So she's 3 years married now, and she's slowly coming around to the social aspect of her husband because she is married to the richest guy in the world. And she's trying to get used to having to buy presents at Christmas and having the Christmas party and doing social stuff and housewarmings. And they went to Bella's birthday party in the last book. And she's trying. She's really trying. And DeWinter wants to be friends. DeWinter, or at least hello and goodbye, how you doing type friends. You know, because she is friends with all of Eve's friends. But Eve is just she's got a little bit of a wall between her and DeWinters. And even though DeWinters talks to her at this meeting, they meet in a bar to have drinks per DeWinters' request. And even though DeWinters tells her the absolute truth, and Eve knows she's telling her the absolute truth, and it helps a little with their relationship, Eve is just not the frou-frou, fruffy type. She just can't deal with it. But in the middle, let me see what I wrote here. We'll get to the punchline in a second. Why don't we just get to it? The winter nibbled on an olive straw. Anybody know what the hell an olive straw is? I forgot to look that up. I need to look that up. I don't need everyone to like me. I don't even need to know why people who don't. You know as well as I, when you're in a position of authority, some don't. And when you're a woman in that position, even though we're in the second half of the 21st century, that just adds to it. She paused to drink again. But even though you and I don't and likely won't work together routinely, there has been and will be times we do. With a shrug, DeWinter gestured with her drink. I can get around that as you can. We're both professionals and good at what we do, but we also have personal connections. Eve gave the wine a try, really good, while she studied DeWinter's striking face. Did you practice all that? Through one perfect eyebrow shot up, DeWinter maintained the same even tone. No, but I've had plenty of time to think about it. So I'm friendly with some of your friends. Nadine Navis, for instance. Friendly enough that Mavis and Leonardo had my daughter and me to Bella's birthday party. And wasn't that an event? For Mavis, Tuesday mornings are events. That's part of her charm and appeal. I like her quite a bit. I understand she's one of your people. She doesn't belong to me, Eve interrupted. She's a key part of your circle, a very tight circle. You're careful who comes into that circle, and I respect that. I don't expect you and I will be the bee of bees, but the what? Sorry, my daughter's influence. Humor, the genuine sort, brightened her face. The best of besties. So, they're having this little conversation. And in the middle of a conversation, Lorinda Mars comes out of the bathroom and her brachial artery has been sliced and she dies right in front of Eve and Dewinters. And the first hint of issue, and that's one of I like this book because not only is it a who done it, but and really the who done it sort of kind of takes a back seat to the who, because while Eve is going through the motions with her identipad, identifying the victim and her age and her address and all that kind of stuff in their little computer, DeWinter says, nope, she's at least 10 years older than her official ID claims. And then they spent the rest of the evening interviewing the wait staff. And of course, it turns out that Rock owns the Divines. And so they do a whole thing there. And they interview one of the suspects, one of the gentlemen that was last seen with Mars. He's pretty much in the clear, but we don't learn that for a while, although Eve thinks. And she gets other names, and they start checking other people, and they had gathered up Mars's electronics, and then they have a small hint that Lorinda Mars, the victim, was blackmailing people. And Peabody and McNabb break into this stuff and discover some of this stuff, the outer layers of it. Then Eve and Rourke go to her apartment and discover over $1 million in cash in her safe there. And why did I want this? I'll have to look. So they get home, and I like Somerset. Do you like Somerset? Somerset is the major domo, butler, housekeeper, Rourke's semi-father figure. And while Eve will not admit it, She likes Somerset a lot, but what she likes more than that is that she likes the bickering between the two of them. She enjoys it immensely. The swipes they take at each other. And then, of course, we have Galahad, the cat. And I have always said that Galahad needs a significant other. And unfortunately, all of my significant others are missing this evening. I don't know what's up with that. We'll have to see what happens. But my babies are not here today. I think they're upstairs getting dinner. But we shall see. Um, uh, They walked in on that, finding Somerset himself standing in the lodge foyer, a thick man in black with the pudge of a cat at his feet. So it was fine with him if you stole cars, money, pickpockets, but books were on the forbidden list of loot. One must have one's standards, Somerset said. I trust you've had a meal of some sort. We have, thanks. Rourke removed his coat, which Somerset took from him as Eve tossed hers over the newel post. Galahad trotted forward to wind himself through the 3 pairs of legs. Standards. I'm betting most people would rather have the contents of their wallets than a book that ended up on a shelf. In that way he had. Somerset looked down his blade of nose. Books feed the mind and the spirit. We don't take bread from the hand of a hungry man, Rourke finished. Somerset gave Rourke a nod of approval. You learned well, but then your mind and spirit both a voracious appetite. If your body had an appetite, there's pie. I had some time on my hands and a nice basket of apples from New Zealand. She had a weakness for pie, enough of one to overshadow any sarcasm she might have leveled. There's always an appetite for pie, Rourke said, as they started up the stairs. Good night. Why New Zealand? Eve demanded, as the cat jogged beside them. We have apples here from the Big Apple. Because it's February. He'd prefer organic, naturally grown. Okay. So then Rourke and Eve go over the security tapes of the bar. Then they discover some more interesting things. And I have to share. I just have to share. I can't do these without sharing. Let me see. Just a second. I found a baby. And she's going to get punished from where she came out from. Alright. I have to do these. I love these books. Don't you love these books? Eve always says stuff wrong. Always. And sometimes she was once accused of saying it wrong on purpose. But, you have to believe that she really doesn't know it. She was good at it, personally and professionally, over and under the table. That takes context, ways in and under and through, a kind of network. So they discover that Mars has really been blackmailing a lot of people. And I agree with that, Rourke said to remove his shoes while he unhooked her weapon harness. Any in context who were also marked. Find me some dirt and I'll keep yours under the rug. Under the bed. Rug, under the rug, Rourke corrected with a smile, but the same concepts. Lots of enemies, so was she stupid enough not to take standard precautions? The old, if anything happens to me, the file I have on you in that secure location will be made public. But that line only holds until somebody cracks. Can't take the pressure anymore, can't bear the expense, handle the guilt. A mark who cracked, highly probability, but not the only probability, she said as Rourke switched on the fire. Someone whose secret she exposed, a career, a reputation, relationship damage. Yeah, I'm thinking of tapping Nadine here. She'd have a handle on that angle or could get one, and I doubt they'd much liked each other. Our Nadine is a reporter with standards and ethics, ambition and pursuit of a story are key elements. But so are those standards and ethics. Mars, I would say, even without what we've learned, was the popular opposite. Um, uh, well then, if that's a line of thinking, I should tell you she shot and missed with me. What? What? She tried to shake you down? When? Christ! About 3 years ago, shortly before our wedding. She just gaped. And you're telling me now? Darling Eve, if I told you about everyone who tried in various ways to shake me down, milk me, exploit some dubious connection, or issue threats, veiled or overt, we talk of little else. He sent her an easy smile. Do you tell me about everyone who threatens to make you pay in one way or another for doing your job? She started to claim that was different, but realized it wasn't still. She's dead, murdered, I'm primary. And you've been consulting on this almost from the jump. Now you tell me she targeted you? Well, her aim was poor, so she missed entirely, and it was years ago. I honestly didn't think anything of it until you widened that pool. I need the details. I don't see how it would. She'd been wrangling for an interview and pushed for one a few times before, but ran into Carol. And I tell you, I wasn't even aware of the wrangling or pushing, as Carol wouldn't bother me with that sort of thing. I expect Carol has a file on it somewhere. In any case, Mars finally got around Carol and approached me directly when we both attended Christ. If I remember some event or another, you weren't with me, but I needed to put an appearance. Ah, the library. The New York City Library, a fundraiser. I'm pulling it back. I haven't thought of it since, after all. As I recall, she came up to me, very charming, asking if she could have a word. She said she needed an exclusive on our wedding. Hello. How's it going? Okay, I get that. But give me what you can. Well, she dropped the charm when I said no. Change, taxes, and then I remembered clearly enough. She said she could make it the event of the year, or glamour and swoon, or she could make things uncomfortable. And Rourke told her in no uncertain terms that if he was to buy Channel 75, he could fire her. And that was the end of that. So the next day, Eve Rourke has this thing about giving Eve oatmeal on cold days. He feels it's good to have a warm breakfast. Eve would rather have a bowl of syrup. But today she gets waffles and she's all excited. We got lucky. She ate waffles and felt lucky all around. She studied her next bite of waffles. Why do they call it a waffle iron? He cut another bite because it presses the batter. But does it? Does it really? They're not flat, and it isn't that the goal when pressing and ironing? They're sort of puffy with dents in them. Pancakes. I get the name. It's batter. You pour it on a pan, and you've got yourself a pancake. What sort of name is waffle? I love these books. Don't you love these books? I have to share. Here, have a piece of paper. Loves rolling around in the paper. So she calls an 18 and she interviews some more wait staff. She talks to Morris. And I wasn't able to finish with her last night, Morris said, and Morris is the medical examiner. I had a suicide pact, neither of them old enough for illegal brew. Baxter and Trueheart caught it, he said, glancing back towards his wall of drawers. All evidence support they considered themselves with the influence of illegals, a Romeo and Juliet who could only find happiness in death. It's sad they failed to understand what they based their decision on wasn't romance but a tragedy. I never got it. Sorry. A couple of kids take a look at each other and decide they're crazy in love with their families like the Coys and the McCats. Hatfields and McCoys, Morris corrected, the sorrow in his dark, exotic eyes fading to amusement. Or in this case, the Montagues and the Capulets. Whatever, stupid, so they both end up dead. Self-termination in the old can't be with you, I'll die instead. Why? Why? Teenagers think that the end of the world will end if they don't get this thing, or if they don't talk to this one, or if they need to live another 20 or 30 years to get past that. And Morris confirms what DeWinter was hinting at the night before, that Miss Lars, the victim, had plastic surgery, and so they send her over to DeWinters to do some more examining of Morris's bones. And Peabody comes in, and this is the first time, and we're going to talk about it again because it's brought up again, but there are a couple of times in the book. I don't know if I wrote down the other one. I don't think I wrote down the other one. They might have. I don't think I did. And I'll have, if I don't come across it, then I'm going to mention it later. But this is one of the first times that Eve just offers Peabody something. And I love it. I absolutely love it that she did this. And there's an event that happens later. It's not in this book. I think it's a few more books down the line. But it's one of the few. It's the first time, and I will go apeshit crazy, jumping up and down, backwards and frontwards when we get to that book, where Eve uses her influence. Now, she has in the past. There's been several people. In one book, the chick was a delivery person, and if she didn't do XYZ, she was going to fire. And Eve sets her up with one of Rock's people to get a job. And then there was the lady, I think it was the last book of the book prior to that, where the person was killing all the people that didn't respect Eve. And they had come across this girl that was staying in the apartment across the street from the guy that got with the pool cue. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but she also helped her get a job. So she's helped a few people get jobs, and that's always nice that she's used her influence to help them get interviews at least. And so this is the first time she's offered Peabody something, and I just love that Eve did this. Peabody jogged to catch up. McNabb made headway on the electronics, and he's back at it this morning. His brain needed a rest. I had to bring the hammer down on him. He'd been working on an E-case for the last 4 days, almost 24/7, until it broke yesterday. I can tell when he's hitting the line and he's sliding over it. He needed some sack time, some solid down. No problem. He did say she paid a lot of scratch for security on her e-toys. Serious scratch. He likes that sort of challenge, and he peeled away some layers. He'll have the rest pulled today. Peabody dropped into the passenger seat. Can I have some coffee? Eve held up 2 fingers. Use the in-dash. Peabody programmed 1 black, 1 coffee regular. Handed the black to Dallas. I think he's a little burnt. Eve glanced over. What? I think McNabb's a little burnt. He's been on the roll one way or another for close to a month. Jumped in to help Calendar on a case, and he's assisted on ours. Santiago asked him to take some East stuff. He doesn't say no. He loves the East stuff and the work. But honest, his skinny ass is dragging some. Hell, more than some. Peabody's brows knitted, digging a worry line between them. I want to get him to take a couple 3 days. Maybe surprise him with a mini-cation. When we close this down, is there any problem with me taking some leave? 3 days. No problem. Solid. It occurred to Eve that Peabody had never before said anything about McNabb being burnt or tired, had never before expressed a single concern in that direction. So she obviously had real worry. Take 5 days. You're not on the roll on Sunday unless we're working on something hot, and Saturdays are rotate. Rotate out, leave after shift on Friday. If he's dragging 5 days, gives him time to bounce back and vacate. Neither of you use up more than 3 days leave. We could do that. We could just stay home for the weekend, sleep, then do the package. A 5-day package really ups the ante, but it's warm in Mexico. Peabody laughed. Yes, it is, and sunny with beaches, but a cross-continent package adds to it. You can get some pretty sweet bargains in the Bahamas if you know where to look. I've been checking. Eve drummed her fingers on the wheel. You can use the villa on the west coast of Mexico. Rock will get you a shuttle to and from. What? The unexpected gesture had Peabody nearly spilling her coffee. Seriously? But no, I'm not. It's no big deal. Are you kidding me? It's a mega deal. Peabody's stunned breast whooshed out. Then again, a Mongo mega deal. Big giant gratitude, but I wasn't fishing for a freebie. We've got some saved. I know you weren't fishing. You didn't have your fishing face on. I don't have a fishing face. You have a fishing face. Eve did her best to mimic it with big, innocent puppy eyes, a shy, winsome smile. I absolutely don't make that face. You do when you're fishing, and you weren't wearing that face. So you weren't. You're wearing your worried face. If McNabb's burnt, some of the burnt is working for my investigation. Take the villa, the shuttle, and the 5 days. I love that Eve did this. I just love that she did this. So then we interview some people's. We get a sketch artist going with Yancey and the puppies over there. She reports to Whitney, and then she talks to Feeney, her mentor. Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I'll give the kid a hand when I finish up here. I've got her apartment electronics coming in. You going out for her studio shit? Yeah, from here, but I wanted to talk to you about McNabb. Feeney reached into a wool bowl, one of Mrs. Feeney's creations, took a handful of candied almonds, gestured to the bowl in an invitation to share, but Eve shook her head. You can have him on the team, Feeney said. He's clear. Peabody, thinking of how cops love gossip, just like Feeney's wife, she shut the door. Peabody says he's burnt, and I could see she's genuinely worried. Frowning, Feeney rubbed his jaw. She ain't wrong. He's been working a big one, a complicated, and just closed. Gave some time to a couple of the other boys. They were all boys to Feeney, no matter the chromosomes. I'm putting him in for a commendation for the one he closed. Fully aware Feeney didn't hand out commendations like candied almonds, she smiled a little. Good for him. Finger jabbed at her. I told him after he nailed it down to go home and sleep and take the next 48 off. It's on me he didn't. I pulled Peabody in when we were leaving. He came in with her instead of getting the shut-eye lovebirds, he said with a shake of his head. I can put the boot down, take him off, order him to take the 48. Would he go home and sleep? He'd argue and bitch until I put the boot down harder. Then he'd sulk. Because she saw it in the same way, she nodded. I offered Peabody a thing after she laid this out, and I should have cleared it with you first. He popped another almond. What thing? I said after we closed this one because she wouldn't budge until this is cleared, even with the boot, any more for McNabb, to take 5 days by rotating a Saturday, taking the regular off Sunday, and next 3 days is vacation. They could take one of Rourke's shuttles to the villa in Mexico. He's yours, not mine, and he may not be up for a 5-day leave. Feeney scratched just above his collarbone. I'd rather give him the 5 than see him really burnt and end up pushing him out for twice that, or having him screw up because his head's not right. It's a good thing. I have no problem clearing him for it. They're just family. I just think of them as family. Don't you think of them as family? And then we go see Nadine at Channel 75, and she talks to Nadine, and Trina is there. And Trina does hair and makeup for Eve quite often, and she does Nadine's hair and makeup for the show. And Eve is petrified of Trina. Absolutely petrified, even though she worked with Trina a little bit closely when Trina's when that guy ended up dead, when they were gonna go put baking itching powder in his socks and stuff. So you know, Eve can deal with Trina, but she's frightened of Trina. She's frightened, but Trina actually gives her some makeover while she's waiting. And Eve tells Nadine about the secret identity. And then they go talk to some coworkers. And then they go they go to interview one of the other people in the restaurant the evening before, after they left Devon's, because they just went to Devon's for drinks, and then they went someplace out for dinner, and the guy ended up sick with food poisoning. So that's not really, but I wanted to see, why did I, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. There she is, all cute, looking up, gazing at my face. Sorry about the noise. I know I don't hear it, but apparently when you play it back, it makes a whole bunch of noise when I move it. So I'm trying to figure out why I pulled this page. Let's see. So they hang out. The stuff that goes on at Channel 75 is very, very interesting. And I could sit here and read the whole chapter, 2 or 3 chapters with you, because of the stuff with Trina, the stuff with Nadine. When Eve gets back to her office, she finds a covered plate there with Rourke, in an insulated bag. It says eat, and she opens it up, and it's a burger with fries, and she shares with Peabody. But it's just, hey, Dallas, I just checked in with Peabody. Stop. Sniff the air like a hound. I smell. Oh my God, is that a burger? It's a burger and fries. Saying nothing, accepting her duty, which was not the primal instinct to stuff the entire burger in her own mouth, Eve pulled out the knife in her pocket, flipped open the blade, and sliced the burger in half and shared it with Peabody. They go to a press conference. McNabb breaks through Mars's computer and finds that she was setting up meetings with people consistently throughout the month for blackmailing. You find X on somebody, and I will not blackmail you or ask you for funds. And I wanted to see. So Rourke is in the building. Shoot. I'm always playing with this stuff. Sorry. String of Sean. He followed her. Since you look particularly fresh, I assume you found the burger. Yeah, appreciate. Plus, Trina had some juice about Mars. I had to let her snip and buzz and play with my damn face, but it's going to be worth it. Your face is always worth it to me. Sap time. She poked him. Anyway, I did something and realized I should have run it by you before I did it, but now it's done about Peabody and McNabb. Unless it involves a naked foursome, I'm likely fine with it. I hate it when you sneak stuff like that into my head. It involves the villa in Mexico and one of your shuttles. She told me he's burned and I could see he's looking, well, a little hollow. Rourke glanced back briefly. I noticed, yes, a little hollow around the eyes and not as well bouncy as our Ian. Still got plenty of bounce, but always anyway. Peabody was trying to put together a couple of days away once this wrapped, give him some downtime, and I said she could take 5 days. Then I offered the villa before I thought about it. You don't have to think about it. It's there, and it would give them a good break from the winter and the work. Yeah, but it's probably in the marriage rules that you consult. A very fine save, Lieutenant. He skimmed his finger down the dent in her chin. Let's say the consult should be simple to make sure whatever is offered is available during a specific time frame. And this is available and it's unoccupied at the moment. Okay. And they get past it. Then they interview some more people and some more people and some more people. Oh. And then you really don't. Nadine finds somebody, one of Mars's marks, and has them come to her new apartment. And I'm very excited to see Nadine's new apartment. She did go for the one that Eve told her to go to, and it looks really nice, and we will get a housewarming party. And Eve will rant on about the housewarming party. And we will also meet a character that we met a few books ago in Concealed in Death, and she comes back, and it's nice to see her. It's nice to see the character progression in these books. It's nice to read about characters, how they've grown since the last book, what's gone on in their lives since we've last seen them. I like to get to know the characters. I'm a character person. I love character-driven series, and I hope you are driving this series with me. I love these books to death. So they talk with Nadine. I really don't think I need to spill too much tea here. But she brings up the new Mark, and they talk and they have some background. So they really don't need. One of the other people had an issue. Eve clears 2 or 3 people from previous things. And then we have another big reveal, character-wise. It's been quite a few books. So in the character's time, it's probably been at least a year or 2. Well, maybe a year, at least a year since it was brought up. It's been a while. Whenever that girl was found in the dumpster, that book, and Somerset fell down the stairs. I think it was that book, or maybe it was a future book. It's been a few books. And then a few books later, Eve. Robb thinks of something that he hadn't thought of before. So this is the first time that we see Rock pursuing the matter. I expect you'll behave while I'm gone and keep an eye on the children. Somerset is talking to Galahad. Rock paused to take in the scene. Somerset, a baker's apron over shirt sleeves, was kneading dough, while Galahad sat on a counter stool and watched, apparently listening as well. I'm leaving it to you, Somerset continued. his long, thin hands working methodically and with what looked like an easy enjoyment. You have to see they get a decent meal in them. He generally more worried about his own meals. Somerset glanced over, eyes lifting. He'll keep his clever eyes on you nonetheless, is all well. You're about ready to be off, I think. Early tomorrow, I'm entertaining myself by baking and cooking. You and the lieutenant won't starve while I'm gone. Do you want coffee? And they have some more small talk. What's on your mind, boy? I don't recall either of us lying outright to the other. Well, not since my beginnings with you when lying was my default. And you saw through that. More than I thought, though I may have slipped a few by you. No doubt. Those were the days, and still after those raw beginnings, and after trust and respect and affection, I didn't see either of us lying to the other if a question was asked straight and direct. What's your question? Did you kill Patrick Rourke? Somerset laid the dish aside and simply said yes. Ah, well, on a nod. Rourke kept his eyes on Somerset. All this time you never said a word. For what purpose? You couldn't think I would have cared, that I would have turned even an inch away from you for it. No, not that. Somerset walked over to the breakfast area, sat, waiting for Rourke to join him. You were just a boy, beaten down and barely beginning to believe you could have a life without the fist. Why burden you? As time passed, what purpose would there have been to tell you? I wondered when she would. The lieutenant's scale weighs different than mine. No less right or wrong, just different measures. She didn't tell me. Why did you tell her and when? Obviously surprised, Somerset sat back. I may never get a true handle on your wife, boy. Not one that holds firm. I didn't tell her, not in so many words. She has a way of finding out, of interpreting and intuiting. I didn't confirm or deny, but she knew it was when I fell down the stairs, when I was healing from breaking my own careless leg. I suppose I was a bit less guarded. A considerable time for her as well to keep that secret from me. You won't blame her for that, or you'll disappoint me. I won't blame her for that, no, nor you, but neither of you needed to carry this for my sake. Will you tell me why you decided to end him? And they go through the discussion, and it's, you can read that for yourself. They eventually find Mars's additional residence that is literally filled with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in cash, in jewels, and several boxes of notebooks of information with documentation on hundreds and thousands of marks. She finds a book on her. She finds a book on Rourke. She finds a book on Mavis, on Leonardo and Bella and Nadine, and a whole bunch of additional marks. She finds it all. And most of the book, while she is looking for the whodunit, she spends quite a bit of time finding out who Mars was, what her real identity is, and solving who Mars was is a huge part of this book. And it's just, I like the characters. I get involved in the characters. I want to know what they're doing, and I enjoy this. I really don't think we've got the she checks in with Mavis, lets Mavis know what was going on, and we will have Nadine's open house. I think it's the next book. I'm not sure. I didn't look. But don't forget, we have our little puzzle in here, our crossword. I think there was a picture of the city in the last book. The next couple of books, I believe there's the artwork inside the cover. But we're going to do this We're going to head over to JP. Please don't forget to check out Janet. We did Laurel last year. We will try and do some Sherilyn Kenyon. We're going to do some James Patterson. We'll do some Charlene Harris. I can't help it. I watched the show, and Alexandra Skarsgård is just the most excellent. Sorry. I'm horrible. Yes, ma'am. I love that you love me. And I keep threatening her to get somebody else because I want a cat that wants to be held and wants to come when I call her. Not the I will come when I want to. Oh, but you gotta love it. Secrets in Death. And don't forget Susan Erickson. These are just awesome. I love these books so much. I can't wait for the next one. Sometimes I want to go. I miss the years when we would get 2 hardcovers and 2 novellas for Eve a year. And sometimes I want to go, Nora, could you not be Nora for a year? And could you just be J.D. Robb all year and give us like 5 books? Because when she writes Nora, she always writes a trilogy. So I miss those days when she was doing the 5 books a year. I know it's a little too much to expect now. It's been about 10 years since we've had. What was the Wonderment in Death was the last one. I think it was 41.5 or something. But here we go. Secrets in Death. I've done all the books. Go back and check my videos. I started with Naked and Immortal and Glory. And we get to see Peabody from the beginning. You just grow with these characters. Peabody, McNabb, Feeney, Whitney, Tribble, Kuhn, Rio. We didn't see much of Rio in this. We haven't seen her in a while. She got a big thing in the iCove case. Mira, all the. So please check it out. Please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you.